Since this is the master's class of Aura Dating Academy, we have Aura Dating members here as part of their master's class, as well as special guests who have received exclusive invitations. We cut off the invite pretty early, so we left a lot of people out in the cold, but they are going to be able to watch this at some point on video. Okay, so let's begin with the events that led to you sitting in this chair and to you as a dating coach. How did you get started with all this?
This started about, let's see, early 2007, so it's almost 4 years ago now. And what happened was I was in college, and I was like your typical nice guy. So I was really the guy who really fancied a lot of girls, but I was always so nice to them, and I would hang out with them, you know, we'd go out together, and what happened was every single time I would end up in the friend zone because, you know, we were just going out so many times, and I was just like never like really showing any interest in them. I was just thinking, you know, if they like me enough, then someday they'll see and think, oh, this guy's so amazing, you know, I should make him my boyfriend. But unfortunately, that never happened. And then one time, I remember this very vividly. I was writing an essay for a girl at 5 a.m. in the morning at her place. So, you know, we shouldn't be doing like essay writing at 5 a.m. in the morning at a girl's place, but I was doing that. And I was basically finished with the essay, and then I started opening up, and I was admitting to her that I really liked her. And then she said, Tian, you know, I really like you, but I see you more as a friend. And then that really broke my heart. And then what happened was I started searching online for how to get a girl or how to get a girlfriend, and then I found that forum, the attraction forums, and that's kind of like where I got introduced to all the material of, you know, meeting women, talking to them, and dating them. And so I started researching people around. I found different companies. I actually found David too. And I started practicing a lot. So I started going out with people that were in my area. I started going out 3 nights a week. And after 1 year, I got a little bit of a result. And then after 1 year, I started taking a boot camp, a workshop. So a workshop is where you go out with professional instructors, and they take you out to a bar or a nightclub or a daytime setting, and then they show you how to do it, and then they teach you all the material that you have to learn. And they go out with and practice with you. So that's one of the most valuable things that you can get out of a workshop, is that when you work with someone, they can really pinpoint what you really need to work on. And also they can accelerate your learning, which is really important, because one thing I wished I had done was taking a workshop really early on, because I had a lot of bad habits. Because I, for example, had a lot of stuttering when I was talking to girls. I was fidgeting a lot. And I didn't notice that because me and my friends were just going out and we're all on the same level. And when everyone's on the same level, everyone's making the same mistakes. Right? There's no one better than you that can look at you and say, hey, you know what, you shouldn't be doing this, you should do this instead. Right? So I can encourage everyone to take a workshop early on.
Now, how old were you when you wrote the essay at 5 in the morning?
I was 19.
Okay, and how long ago was that?
That was four and a half, 5 years ago.
Okay, 4.5.
Yeah.
And now, how long ago was it since you took that first workshop?
That was 3 years ago.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so you've been in for 3 years. Now, how did you get to the point that you were a dating coach, that you made that transition from being a practitioner to being an actual coach?
So an interesting thing happened is, so Savoy, our founder of our company, he does a lot of talks too. And one day he gave away a free ticket to one of his conferences. And I happened to win that ticket. And with that ticket, you get access to a private forum. And so I was lounging around on the private forum, and then he asked for some marketing help. And since I was studying marketing, I offered to help him out. And then I got him some good results, and he was like, hey, you know, I see you live in LA. You should stop by and we'll chat. So eventually I started working for them. And then as a Love Systems employee, you get free training. So I got access to all the workshops, all the seminars.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I got caught up to speed really quick because of that, which is, I'm very fortunate because of that.
Cool. I didn't know that, actually. So that's like a little hack.
Yeah.
By the way, that's a great way to get coaching. When I started with Christian Hudson, it was a complete coincidence that we were in the same class. So we just started meeting for coffee. I didn't know anything about the community or any of the opportunities that were available at that time. This was in 2005. But he just took a liking to me. We just met up for coffee. And then from that point, I met a bunch of the other guys. And then it just went from there. So that's really cool. So here's a little tip if you want free coaching, just work as an employee. Yeah, I'll start hiring soon, and I'll make sure that you make back all the value that I'm getting from you. I'm just kidding. So, all right, that's cool. So then what was it like, given the fact that you were working in that environment, you were surrounded, but you met not just the one coach who was giving you the workshop, but you met Savoy and all these other people who were...
Like one thing I got out of it was, because if you're surrounded by people who are better than you, you pick up a lot of things that you don't consciously are aware of. So for example, when we went out and I would observe and we would just hang out and talk, I would try to mimic what they did. So if they talked a certain way, I would try to act a certain way like that too. And what I started noticing is that most of the guys who are good with women act a certain way. So the way they respond to certain things, the way they think about certain things, these are things that you can pick up if you hang out with them a lot. And also, like, if you, for example, if you live with someone who is very negative, has, you know, a lot of psychological problems, and if you are someone who's not, well, guess what? If you're gonna be living with that person, it's gonna rub off on you a little bit. Just like you were probably gonna help him a lot by being all positive and, you know, having a good sense of confidence. But you know, you got to be careful about that. So you got to be really careful who you go out with, who you pick as friends. And for example, if you go out and meet girls, I would advise to only go out with people that are here, because you know you have the same goals, right? Whereas if you go out with friends who don't know anything about this, yeah, you might feel a lot of judgment. You might feel like, oh, if they see me get rejected, then oh no, this is going to be bad for my ego, right? Which is something you want to avoid. So just, be really careful who you go out with. So back to the point, yeah, I got the value out of that by being around all the other people. And since I was living in LA, most of our instructors, they live in LA, so we started going out together. You know, they would teach me a lot of stuff that you don't learn inside a workshop because it's so personalized. So that was, I was really lucky in that sense.
Yeah, it's really important to actually have a good peer group. Because even if you have all there's access to all these resources, DVDs, ebooks, and then you even take a workshop, which is going to skyrocket your results. One of the reasons why there's this drop-off in some cases after a workshop is because the support group isn't there in person. And this is something that we're going to talk about later, about how because of certain economic and cultural reasons, a lot of Singaporean guys have to live at home until they're 35. And it's not exactly the most conducive environment to being a player. You can't really have a foursome in your house if mom is next door. Well, you could. That would be an interesting scenario, and I think you should tape it to see what happens there. But it's just something, another reason why with the academy is this long-term, ideally people will sign up for 12 months, and that fosters a community for other guys to help each other grow. Okay, so you became a coach, and then as you were coaching, did you find any breakthroughs in terms of, now that you're teaching other guys this material that you learned, was there did you have new perspectives out of that?
You know, I could really easily identify with a lot of students because, I mean, I started off from the bottom pretty much. Like, when I moved to America, I only had like one girlfriend ever. So, you know, I was pretty new to how women think and how they interact with guys. So I had to work through like the whole pyramid of, like, you know, starting to approach someone, having the right mindset, being able to have a good conversation with women, just going on dates with them and then taking them home. So I had to do everything from scratch. So in that sense, I was very fortunate because that would make me a better coach because I was able to identify with a lot of students. And I think that's an important part of being a good coach is that you have to be able to identify with a lot of different types of people because you never know who you are going to work with. Right? So I think it's important when you work with someone that you are aware of where they come from because if you work with someone who already was really good with women, it's going to be a lot harder for him to work with you because he doesn't really understand where you're coming from. And if that empathy is not there, it's very hard to learn from someone like that and teach you the right way.
What were some of your, so I kind of jumped over that part where before you became a dating coach, what were some of the turning points for you in getting that part of your life handled after the workshop and progressing from there?
I think the big turning point was actually getting phone numbers that resulted into dates. That was like a really big thing for me because like I was good at getting phone numbers. I was always really good at trickery. You know, somehow figuring out a way of getting a girl's phone number. And sometimes I would see guys teach that sort of stuff where they say, yeah, if you do this, if you do that.
Did you ever pretend to be a model agent or something like that?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that actually works. It's not a very
it's like good. You know, you set a bad pretense, but you know, you get a girl's phone number, and for some people, you know, that's what they want. But I don't like teaching that stuff because you get the result, but it's like the road to that is not very well, and also the work that will take you to go from that place to actually going on a date is a lot harder. Because when you get a girl's phone number, you always want to make sure that she really wants to see you anyway, right? Not under the pretense of like, oh, I'm a producer or